Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Phightin Words. Anthony Sanfilippo's here. I'm Bob Wankel. Monday morning, Phillies take 2 out of 3 against the Colorado Rockies. They moved to 19-22 now. They didn't get that sweep that we were looking for going into the weekend, but they did come close, Anthony. And I would say overall that you wake up this morning with the Phillies kind of at 10-3 now, 4 straight series wins with Don Mattingly as the manager. And I suppose it would be difficult to feel too bad about where this team is at directionally at the moment. And I think my goal today is to try to sort of hit the reset button as we're about a quarter of the way through the season, a little over a quarter of the way through the season. And I have to be honest with you, I think I said this last week. I typically feel like I know what I'm looking at when I watch a Phillies team. I feel like I pin it down early, and I'm not terribly surprised by what I'm watching thereafter. Right now, man, if I can be real with you, I have no idea what the hell I'm looking at with this team, because one minute I'm like, they stink, and I don't know that they're going to go 500. And the next I can kind of like squint and talk myself into 87 wins in like the second wild card spot. I just don't know what to think right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, they are not as well oiled as maybe we thought coming out of spring training, but I also don't think that they stink either, right? It's somewhere in between. It's just a matter of where in between it is, and I think that what we saw in 9-19 certainly wasn't them. But I'm also not sure that what we're watching right now at 10-3 is them either. I think that they've gotten some good fortune in this 10-3, right? And in the sense of the opponent and a couple of breaks that went their way, and that Jeff McNeil error kind of leads to a win against the A's, right? Like that. So they've had some things kind of go their way here in the last 13 games, and to their credit, they've taken advantage of it. But at the same time, I'm with you that they might be more towards the mediocre portion of somewhere in between 9-19 and 10-3 than towards the high end of it. And because there are things that you watch and go, I'm not on board with this right now.
I think that this recent run of games, starting with really the A's in the middle of the A's series, and what we watched this weekend is a microcosm of like the ebb and flow of, and it's not like a natural ebb and flow. It's like the roller coaster ride that this team can be, because they go out in the finale against the A's, and we talked about that on Friday's show. Painter was a disaster. They kind of checked out. They had already won the series. Whatever. You're not going to kill a team for that. Things happen. The A's aren't a bad team either. We were saying going into this series, I'd like to see the Phillies sweep the Rockies. The Rockies are not very good. They've not played good baseball. They had an advantageous pitching matchup in theory going into the game on Friday night. Freeland's cooked. And then, yesterday you have Sanchez on the mound on Mother's Day at home. You expect to win that game. So situationally speaking, you can look at a series and say, like, if they're going to sweep one, this would be a great time to do it. That obviously didn't happen. And the reason it didn't happen is if you go back to Friday night's game, and this is the game in particular that when I look at the Phillies, I go, I'm not sure. So much of what this team is going to do is based on its starting rotation. And this resurgence that they've had is due much in part to the starting rotation's resurgence that's coincided with it. Jesus Luzardo, for me, though, like when I look at this team, I say, wow, I know what I have in Zach Wheeler, even though he's coming off an injury. I know that I'm going to get more often than not, a professional grade start, probably borderline elite start, even at this point in his career. I truly believe that Cristopher Sanchez is one of the 7 best starting pitchers in the sport. Awesome. But where this team, to me, like then takes the next step is that Jesus Luzardo, I think, could be like a 1B. He could be as good as a 1B in a rotation, kind of like that role that Sanchez was taking alongside Wheeler a year or 2 years ago. Like, I think he's that good. He's that talented. But then I watch him go out and just get absolutely destroyed, runs deep counts, can't put anybody away. Rockies are fouling off a ton of pitches. I don't know if he's getting flustered, frustrated. I don't think it's tipping, but like, I just don't understand how a guy whose stuff is that good and can be so dominant at times can just unwind the way that he did on Friday night. And if he's going to be that guy, And I don't just mean like that guy that we saw on Friday night again and again and again, because he's too good to be consistently that poor. But if he's going to be this guy that gives you 7 innings, 1 run, 1 start, and then he can't get you through 15 outs in the next start, and that's what we're going to see all season, then like I can't buy this team stringing together enough wins to be consistently good enough, consistently excellent enough to be a 88 win team that I think that they can be. But if he's going to be that guy, then like, yeah, I think it can be there, even with the offensive issues that we know about and that we've talked about for years. But like Jesus Luzardo to me is the key to this entire thing. And as much as I like him and as much as I think he can be that guy, he's making it hard for me right now.
Yeah, look, it's funny because the one question he didn't answer was mine when I asked about it after the game. And I said to him, I said, you know, you've had a number of starts where you're cruising along, you're pitching well, and then all of a sudden it snowballs on you in 1 inning. Have you found any commonalities between these starts to maybe identify why that happens? And he says, no, nothing I can put my finger on, or whatever he said. It was something very innocuous like that. I have to imagine, Bob, when he says that it's more of a mindset thing than it is a mechanical thing, than it is a sequencing thing, that it is anything related to actually pitching, throwing a baseball. I think it has to be a mental thing where he gets a little bit caught up in his own outing and gets frustrated. And it was funny because like I looked at that game and it always seems to happen the same way, right? Where he gives like walks guy, gives up a hit, whatever, and then Hunter Goodman hits the home run, and you could tell he's annoyed that he gave up a home run. Like you could see the body language on Luzardo; he's annoyed by it. He then walks the next batter, lets a guy steal a base on him, and then gives up a bunt base hit. He is then at that point, I'm looking at it going, he's done this inning. He is so done with the inning. He's mad at the home run. He's mad at the walk. He's mad he let a guy steal a bag, and he's mad he threw a good pitch and dude hit a little nubbler down the line and it ends up being like a bunt base hit, right? And like those things eat at him. They have to. How else do you explain this?
Yeah,
I mean, that's where it needs to be different. And I thought maybe, just last thing on it, I thought maybe last year when he pitched as well as he did against the Dodgers, that was a sign that he can separate the two, right? Like I thought that was a sign that it was a thing that he's not going to let anything like that get to him. He is determined to be one of the better pitchers in the sport. And then yet again, it happens. And maybe it's a regular season thing versus a playoff. Who knows? We'll have to see. But that, I think, is the problem with Jesus Luzardo, not the way he pitches, because I think he's a really good pitcher.
Oh, you mentioned it, and you look at the Dodgers series, and I had questions about him. Like this conversation that we're having right now, we had last season when things started to go south for him. He gets off to the start where you're like, man, is this guy like a true Cy Young contender? And then things blow up. I think it was the Brewers came in here and they just destroyed him, and the numbers went nuts, and he couldn't figure it out for a little bit. And then he got back on track, and then he was great in the playoffs. And I said, well, if you're going to stare down the Dodgers and do it twice in a series, then you have my respect. Right. And I thought that was an eye-opening sequence. And I want to believe that that's who he is. And that when things are, the chips are down, like he's in and he can be that guy. And I mean, I think that he deserves some benefit of the doubt. And certainly I think the Phillies.
He got a contract because of that, Bob.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say that. The Phillies, I think, looked at that and said, this guy's for real. And then you look at the deeper numbers. And I mean, like, this is what's so mystifying about the whole thing. Like, pull up his baseball savant page and you'll see a lot of red. It's expected ERA is 3.19. Well, he's at 5.98 right now. Expected batting average is only 236. Guys have been ripping him apart. I mean, the batting average against is astronomical. His fastball velocity is at the top of the game. It's elite. Like the chase percentage is elite. The whiff percentage is elite. He's getting a ton of swing and miss. He's striking out a ton of hitters. It's all there. Like all the underlying metrics suggest that he is as good as, if you're bullish on him, people think he is. But you have to put it together. And like, I don't want to like, I'd be careful I say this, but when I watched that on Friday night, and you're right, like it was almost predictable. You could feel the tide turning against him because we've seen it so many times. The thought that I had in my mind is like, I really like this guy and I believe in him, but like, it's time to grow up, buddy. Like you got to figure this out. Like whatever it is going on, you've got to figure out. And I don't think you can just write it off and say, it's just one off. It's just some bad luck. Things happen. That's baseball. Like when you've seen this happen a number of times this season and last season, there's enough of a pattern there to think that there really is a mental component to it.
Yeah. And I looked at it, Bob, and I went through his starts where he had these bad innings. Against Arizona, he had a no-hitter going into the 5th inning. And then it went single, walk, single, strikeout, single, walk, double. And it was a bunch of like little bleeders. Like they weren't like even hitting him hard. And then it just imploded on him really quick. He's up 5 runs in the inning. You know, he was pitching a no-hitter going into the 5th inning, and all this just snowballed on him in a span of 7 batters. Against the Cubs, it was consecutive innings. It was the 5th inning and then the 6th inning, but it was single, double, homer, single, 5 straight batters getting on base against him. And then in the 6th inning, there was a ground out, and then single, double, pull him out of the game. Like it just goes so fast. And you sit there and go, well, the manager should pull him out sooner. He shouldn't let it get. It happens so out of the blue. Yeah. It's not like you see him tiring or he's struggling with a batter, and you go, okay, you can tell that his stuff's not good right now. Get somebody up. It just is bang, 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 bang. And it's a span of
you blank. If you got out of your seat and went to the bathroom, you're like, what the hell happened?
What the hell happened? It's 15 pitches, and all of a sudden he's giving up 5 hits. Like, what the hell happened? You know, so that's the thing with him that's just odd, and it has to be mental because, and even if you go back and look at the game against Colorado, like some of those pitches, to his credit, were good pitches, right? Like I thought Goodman's home run, it was down below the zone, and he went down and got it, and he hit it out. On a play like that, you tip your cap to the hitter. You say, you know what, I threw a good pitch, man. It wasn't a meatball. It wasn't over the plate, in your happy zone. I didn't just give you one to put out of the ballpark. You went and got a good pitch that I threw. Kudos to you, right? That's got to be the mentality. Not sit there and MFing everybody and then walk the next hitter because you're pissed off, right? Like that's the difference.
Yeah. And look, I'm with you. And then I say Friday night's the game where I'm like, I'm on the fence. Like, I just don't know how to feel. Like, and it was like by hour because I go, you got your doors blown off. Well, first of all, you won 2 games against the A's to start the series. You're feeling pretty good. You get your doors blown off on Thursday night. Now you're getting pantsed at home against a team that Phillies were like minus 235 money line favorite on Friday night. They're like a significant favorite. You're supposed to win those games like every time. And I'm like, they're down 6-0. I'm like, and this guy who I love can't get anybody out. And I'm like, this team just might not be very good. We're talking about like the A's and Rockies here. Like, this is a team that came into the season, should be winning, on the short list of teams that can win the National League. Like, what are we doing here? But then to their credit, they climb back into the game. There's a Schwarber homer, Crawford homers to tie the game late. Stott has a big hit. Real Muto had a double. Like, and then you're like, this is different. This feels a little bit different. This team could have rolled over and died in this one and said, whatever, we'll turn the page. We'll get back after it's Saturday. But they get back into the game. You're feeling it. You're like, maybe this team does have a little bit more punch to it, right? And then you fast forward. They don't get the job done in extra innings in the 10th. And then Keller comes out, and like, what an absolute disaster he's been. And the reason why I'm mentioning this, like, it's not just to give you a play-by-play of Friday night's game, but like, I want to believe that this team is what I thought it was. But like, if Luzardo can't be that, okay. But then Brad Keller is such an important part of this bullpen, and he's been atrocious. Like, and if like you're telling me that these guys, I can't depend on either of these guys, and right now I can't, I see Schwarber. I want to talk about him. I see what Brandon Marsh is doing. Certainly want to talk about that today because what an incredible start for him. There's so much good that you can kind of latch onto with this team, but it gets very hard to like buy into those things when you see these key cogs just not doing their job. Like, I don't know how I guess you could say that Ryan Kerkering is giving you so much more than what you could expect, and he's taken the next step, and maybe he can really be that late inning arm that pairs up with Duran and I guess Alvarado, like whatever. Maybe those three can do it themselves, even if Keller isn't a guy. But like they need Keller to be a guy, I think. And
Yeah,
my God, he stinks, dude. Like I'll reset. He might stink. Like right now, he stinks. I know he was so good, and that's why he got 2 years and $22 million. And like he was great last year. But like this could possibly be the latest instance of just bullpen reliever volatility that you see in major leagues all the time. He had a great year. He's not elite enough to carry that over and be consistent. And that might be just what we're seeing here.
Yeah, keep that in mind too. The one thing about Keller is that he was, this at one time top prospect as a starter.
Yeah.
Failed as a starter. So the reason he ended up in the bullpen with the Cubs is because he couldn't start anymore. Like he had to try and figure something out. This is the Jeff Hoffman wagon. Like that's
I think that the way that the Hoffman thing played out was part of the reason they probably like Keller. They're like, this is the same thing. It's repeatable. And there is a sustained level of success here, albeit over one really good year.
Right. But that's what it is. This is the Jeff Hoffman story in a sense. Just a year later, like we're the Toronto Blue Jays getting Jeff Hoffman is what we're in the situation at this year. He's not been good. And there needs to be something better out of him over the course of the next month. Otherwise, you're looking for another right-handed relief arm at the deadline.
Yeah.
Again.
I mean, look, if you look at his year-to-year changes, the batting average is up 0.068. Expected batting average is way up. Slugging and expected slugging are both up. And then it really comes down to, for me, command with him. I mean, he just doesn't seem to have the level of command that you would expect a back end of the bullpen guy to have. His in-zone strike percentage is down 2% this year. He's getting less out-of-zone swings. He's not throwing nearly as many first pitch strikes. I mean, that's what it is. It's just like how when you say Trey Turner's going bad, it's like you get in the box and he's down 0-2.
Yeah.
I think I feel like with Keller, it's like you watch him pitch and it's like the count starts 2-1.
Yeah.
He's constantly behind.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. And I look at that. I want to just go back to that Friday night game because there was something else that bothered me, Bob, in this.
JT Realmuto not bunting.
Well, so here's the thing. It's not even that situation. Like it's born out of that situation, right? So first and second, you only need one run in the bottom of the 10th to score. First and second, nobody out. JT's coming up, and they don't bunt. He flies out to right field, shallow right, so you can't even advance the runner. And then they don't score, and then the Rockies get their runs in the top of the 11th off of Keller, and then the Phillies can't tie it, and they lose the game. After the game, Don Mattingly's asked, why not have JT bunt? He hasn't laid down a bunt in 11 years, sacrifice bunt in 11 years. He says he doesn't feel comfortable asking a guy to do something that he doesn't normally do. Okay. But here's the situation. You have two backup catchers on the bench.
Yeah.
One of them who just happens to be a very, very good bunter in Garrett Stubbs. Why not pinch hit Stubbs there for Realmuto and have him lay down that bunt, right? Why not? And the answer to that, and that question wasn't asked, but the answer to that question is, well, you're not pinch hitting for JT Realmuto with Garrett Stubbs. It's like one of those unwritten rules in baseball where you're not pinch hitting for a veteran guy, like one of your guys, with a part-time bench guy.
Yeah.
Even if it makes strategic sense in the moment, it just doesn't happen. This isn't just a Don Mattingly thing. This isn't a Rob Thompson thing. This is an everywhere in baseball thing, right? And that's what bothers me. because it's like, dude, just think of the team. Like that's you play to win right there.
So here's my question.
Don't do it.
I think you diagnosed it perfectly. So my question is this: try to take me into the inner workings here. After the game, they talk about JT and they say like, well, he doesn't do it. And I think he has like one sacrifice bunt like ever. I'm pretty sure. And it was with the Marlins, I believe.
2015. It was the last time it happened. Yeah.
So, all right. He doesn't do this. We don't want to ask him to do something that he's not really programmed to do. So the way I look at this is if you want to play baseball this way, which Mattingly has already shown you in a short amount of time that he will do this, bunt and get guys over. Don't you go to Real Muto and say like, look, we all understand that we're not going to hit for you, or we don't want to hit for you in that spot.
Right.
But when this happens, you either need to work now to make yourself capable of doing it in the event that we ask you to do it, or like we are going to make that switch next time. Like here's a heads up. Like if you did that in the moment and he didn't see it coming, I could see that like rattling some cages. And I don't think guys would really like that. Like that might be a net negative, even if strategically in the moment it pays off. But like, can't you go to him and be like, dude, like, we need you to be able to do this. And oh, by the way, you're not 2021 JT Real Muto anymore. Like you're a guy that needs to be able to bear down and help us situationally, because you're not going to hit 19 home runs. You're not going to have a 790 OPS at the end of the year. Like we're going to need you to do these things. And if you can't, then like, don't be surprised if we have to make a move.
Well, yes, Bob, everything that you just said is accurate. And I think Don Mattingly even hinted that going forward, this could be the case. Because in his one answer, and again, I'm paraphrasing here. I'm not saying exactly word for word as Mattingly said it, but he said, I wonder if maybe we should start to consider that going forward. Like, making sure that we have them more comfortable to be able to, execute plays that we need to do. Like, I think Mattingly knows that the right call was to bunt there. Whether it's with JT Real Muto, whether it's with the guy coming off the bench, whatever, right? But they were reluctant to do it for the exact reasons you just said. It's almost as if you sit there and go, well, we're willing to take the less optimal approach so we don't upset someone here.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Yeah, they're not good. They're just simply not good enough to do that.
It's a game, man. It's a game. No one's going to sit there and go, oh, JT sucks because he can't lay down a bunt, so they have to pinch hit stubs. Like, no one's going to. Who the hell's going to say that?
Yeah.
Who's going to think less of JT Real Muto as a player, right? Or as an individual?
I mean, if anything else, you sit there and say, like, well, like, I don't understand why this team's carrying 3 catchers, but hey, look at that.
Yeah.
There's the one very, very specific scenario where carrying 3 catchers would have worked out perfectly for you. Now, obviously, it goes without saying that the guy behind has to do a job there too. And I believe it was Bryson Stott popped out following the Real Muto flyout. Is that right? So I know that Stott doesn't necessarily do the job anyway, but it changes the entire dynamic and goal of the at-bat if that runner standing on third base with 1 out. So I not that I necessarily trust Bryson Stott to get that done. He has not exactly earned the trust here, but I think that was still by far your best chance to win the game, strategically speaking, at that point.
Yeah.
And I know that I know numbers don't always. I know, like, as I'm a metrics guy, I'm an analytics guy, and I know that analytically speaking, that's not necessarily true. But I felt like that was an opportunity to maybe scrap and win the game. It was a gritty game to begin with. It was a gritty comeback. I felt like that would have been an appropriate situation to at least attempt it.
Yeah. By the way, real quick, just because of we have a lot of people going on in the comments. They think we won't show their comments if they're negative. Torts is the GOAT says this. Mm-hmm. Ford, who always likes to hear his name mentioned, says, I don't know if it's true or not. Negative on what? The Phils? Yeah. Well, guess what? We're being negative right now about the Phillies. We're being negative about the Phillies right now. So just want to let you guys know, like, we see you. We know you're there. We say hi. Is there
a criticism that we're not negative or tell it like it is about the Phillies?
I don't know. I don't know.
Dude, I feel like I get texts and stuff. They're like, yeah, they're playing well. They're 10-3 in their last 13 games, and you're crushing the bullpen and the number 3 starter right now.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I don't know what more.
Well, I mean, if you think that we're being too positive, you're really going to hate where the show's going after that, because I wanted to get to the things that were bothering me a little bit here.
Yeah.
All right, look, I mean, I have a lot of stuff. I think we got to talk about Brandon Marsh at this point.
Major National League's leading hitter, Brandon Marsh.
It's incredible. I mean, this man is hitting 353. I know that you're seeing a lot on Twitter lately, the like all-time batting average balls in play list, and it's like Ty Cobb, Brandon Marsh.
Remember who brought this up first, Bob?
Who deserves proper credit for this?
My son. It was Ant Jr. gave it to me, and I brought it up on this show last year.
Yeah,
that he was number 2 to Ty Cobb on batting average and balls in play. Like Ant brought it to my attention, and I brought it up on this show. We laughed about it a year ago, and now it's a thing.
Yeah, and he's actually starting to close the gap a little bit as well. I believe Cobb is 383 and Marsh is at 373 now. I mean,
it's close. It's pretty close.
And it's going to be tough. Like they're obviously starting to give him a little bit more run against left-handers. He's held his own. I mean, he's hitting 286 right now with a 680 OPS, 28 at bats against lefties. But the work that he's done against right-handers has been remarkable. He's hitting 371 with a 398 on base percentage and a 951 OPS. When they brought Brandon Marsh here, I think they thought they had an interesting athlete who could potentially evolve into a little bit more offensively. And for, 3 seasons, we watched him, well, really, I guess 3.5 seasons, come up, go down, come up, go down. And right now you're watching a player, since he struggled so mightily at the beginning of last season, now we're basically the better part of a calendar year where he's been a well over 300 hitter. And I know they protect him a little bit, with the platoons, but I don't know. I don't know what this means. I don't know if it means that he now is a guy that you roll out there and you just put his name and pen in the lineup and you take the shortcomings against lefties because he's so good against righties. I don't know if it's a guy that you continue to protect to a degree. It seems like they want to protect Crawford, so they're going to Marsh, a more veteran guy, against tough lefties. I don't know what to make of it. Right now, you get through a quarter of the season, the guy's playing at an all-star level, and it's been nice to see, and it's been huge for this team. I mean, they need another bat to go with Schwarber and Harper, and right now Brandon Marsh has been them more than that.
Yeah, I mean, he's been as good as can get this year. And if really, Bob, if you go back, like just look at his numbers versus righties going back to May 1st of last year. Like it's really, really good. Like there's a reason that he's chasing Ty Cobb on batting average and balls in play, because he's had Ty Cobb-esque numbers against right-handed hit pitchers since May 1st of last year. So it's over a year of this. And like you said, they do a really good job of protecting him so that he's only playing in advantageous matchups, but they've started putting him in against some lefties, Bob, down in the lineup. He's not quite there yet, but he doesn't look as lost as maybe he has in the past. And what I really like about the way Brandon Marsh is approaching the game right now is he's hitting the ball everywhere. He's pulling it. He's hitting it up the middle. He's hitting opposite field. That single to left field yesterday was one of my favorite at-bats to watch from him, because he just goes with where the pitch is. He's not trying to do too much. It's like, all right, keep my hands back. I'll hit it on that outer half, and I'll just put it over to the third baseman's head. It's a line drive single to left field. And it's just passing the baton. And he's doing such a good job of it. Like, why change anything? Just ride this. Just hope. I mean, look, he's going to hit 350 for the year. I doubt it. There's going to be regression, right? But can Brandon Marsh stay consistent enough to be a above 300 hitter and be a productive bat in your lineup? I think so. I really do believe that. And like what I'm seeing is a guy who has refined his approach and defined it in such a way that he can be a consistent hitter at the major league level.
Well, you said it. I mean, this is the National League only here, but he does lead baseball in batting average. He has an 893 OPS, 14th in the National League. His slugging is 18th at 511, and his on-base percentage is 10th best in the National League right now. So, I mean, he's He's done a good job for them. Certainly we know he's not an elite level center fielder. They have him in a corner spot. They are still, I think, deficient defensively in center. So it's still an imperfect mix. But when you're hitting at this level, I mean, you just say this is what it's got to be.
Yeah.
So good for him. Now, a couple other things here, talking about guys that are hot right now. By the way, one other thing on Marsh, 17 for 34 in the month of May.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Hitting
Not
5
bad.
homers. Yeah.
He's on one right now. Speaking of guys that are on one, Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber is having one of the more incredible seasons that you could possibly put together. One of the weirder seasons too that you could possibly put together. So let me just set the stage for you here. Obviously, hits the 2 home runs yesterday. He's up to 16 now, which I believe is a share of the Major League Baseball lead as we talk right now.
Yeah, so it's time to judge.
So here you go. I want to make sure that I have this right. Kyle Schwarber, as of this morning, is on pace for 63 home runs, 107 runs batted in, 103 walks, and 233 strikeouts. That, by the way, would set an all-time Major League record, which is currently held by Mark Reynolds. In 2009, he struck out 223 times. Would you sacrifice that dubious record for the end result to be 63 home runs and more than 100 walks? Would you be in for that?
Well, yes, I would. I mean, look, do I wish his batting average was a little higher than 227? I do. Like, I don't need Kyle Schwarber to hit 270, but
I'm living in Anthony. I got to tell you, I do not give a single shit that Kyle Schwarber is hitting 227.
no,
If you're carrying a 951 OPS and I'm paying you to hit the ball over the fence,
yeah,
you go ahead and do it.
I'm with you. Like I said, that was like my one minor criticism was I just wish it was like he was getting on base just a little bit more. Because in all honesty, his on base right now is what, 353, which is less than it's been the last 2 years. He was 366, 365, something like that last year. I wish that it was a little bit better. That's the only criticism. That because of the strikeouts, and if he wasn't striking out so much, he would get on base a little bit more.
And look, my criticism isn't necessarily rooted in any number. It's just consistency. Like, we just went through this thing with him last week where you're like, oh my God. Like, he goes down to Miami and doesn't put the ball in play 8 straight at bats. And you're like, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, that is ridiculous. However, equally ridiculous is what we've seen him do over the last 4 games. So it's like you just take the good with the bad. And if that's where it's all going to come out in the wash, I go, okay.
If he's a 950 OPS guy at the end of the year, you're right. The batting average does not matter. The batting average does not matter if he's that productive.
Let me give you something else to kind of chew on here. I have not yet heard this. It occurred to me this morning. I do apologize if someone else had this. Most home runs in a single season. Barry Bonds, 73. Mark McGwire, 70. Sammy Sosa, 66. McGwire again, 65. And then Sosa also hit 64 and 63. What do all of those players have in common?
The steroid era.
Yes. And so if in fact Kyle Schwarber were to finish the season with 63 home runs, that would surpass Aaron Judge's 62 that he hit in 2022. So as of this morning, Kyle Schwarber is on pace to hit the most home runs in a single season by a non-steroid user. Just a different way to kind of frame what he's accomplished thus far this season.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. And the one thing I just looked it up, Bob, the one thing when you look at what he's doing right now, his OPS plus, which is, a number that I know you like and I like a lot because it really shows you how you are relative to the average player in Major League Baseball, is right now 159. Okay. Last year when he was runner-up for MVP, he was 150. So he's even better now than he was last year. Again, it's May 11th. We're, 41 games into the season. We're not at the 162 game mark. But he is outpacing what he was doing a year ago when he was the runner-up to Ohtani for MVP.
I want to come back to the MVP thing in a moment. On that same track, let's talk a little bit about Bryce Harper. Is Bryce Harper still elite? Look, I don't know the answer to that, and I'll let the whole season play out, and then I guess we can revisit it. But as of this morning, Bryce Harper is on pace to score 99 runs, have 162 hits, 36 doubles, 4 triples, and 40 homers. So that would be a 40-homer, 80 extra base hits season. He's also on pace to knock in 95 runs and walk 91 times. right now, are you seeing like, how do I want to ask you this? Is this Bryce Harper? Like, are we just seeing Bryce Harper kind of in the middle of a nice little run now? His OPS, I think, is like 930, 931, if I'm not mistaken.
938 at the moment.
930. Okay. So, I mean, he's been awesome. And like, is this kind of what Bryce Harper is going to be this year, or are we just catching him at a good time?
I've been pretty staunch on this stance. I thought once the whole thing blew up about not elite, that Bryce Harper was going to have a very good year. And what I mean by very good, like exceeding what he's been the last few seasons. Do I think he's going to be MVP Bryce Harper, with an OPS over 1,000? I don't think he's that guy. But I do think that, above 900 OPS, like maybe his second best Philly season since his 21 MVP season. Yeah, I think we can have that guy.
Yeah, I mean, look, his batting average is up, his expected batting average is up, his expected slugging is up. His K rate has dropped by nearly 6% year over year. He's striking out less. He doesn't look like a guy that is trying to do too much.
Yes.
And that's in a lineup that has struggled. I mean, look, they're 9th in baseball in home runs right now. So they are, much in part because of what Schwarber and Harper are doing. I mean, they have 26 home runs between the two of them. But this offense is still either league average or slightly below league average in terms of batting average, in terms of on base percentage. Like, it's not, they're going in the right direction, but it's still not what I would say is a good offense or an above average offense by almost any measure. Yeah. But he still looks like he's still a little bit more staying within himself. It doesn't look like a guy that is trying to undo everything with one swing. And that to me is one of the more encouraging parts about this. And one other thing I want to tap into is all the preseason talk. I can't hit velocity. He can't handle fastballs anymore. Like, that was the thing everybody was talking about. And he goes to the World Baseball Classic and he has a couple tough games. And everyone's like, well, look, he can't even get around on this. Let's just take what we've seen here so far. Last season, he hit 258 with a 592 slugging percentage against four-seamers. This year, he's hitting 281 with a 750 slug against them. Sinkers, because that's obviously, it's not just four-seam fastballs. I mean, sinkers is a big part of velocity at this point. 254 with a 413 slug last year. 333 with a 417 slug this year. So, like, he's been much more productive against fastballs, against velocity so far this season. I love his game right now. Like, do I think at the end of the day he's holding up an MVP trophy? No, I don't. But I'll take this version. If I get something that resembles this version of Bryce Harper for the remainder of this season and the next couple after that, I'm in.
Yeah, you have to be. You have to be.
That being said, and I guess I just tipped my hand a little bit here. As we talk right now, Shohei Ohtani minus 330 to win NL MVP. By the way, I don't know that I like that. I might like him more to win Cy Young than I do MVP, unless we're just at the point now where we're going to, by the way, he's 4th best Cy Young odds. So, I mean, Skeen, Sanchez, and Sale are actually all ahead of him. Maybe that's a usage thing. Maybe they'll conserve with him, skip starts, try to keep him fresh as the season moves along. But I don't know about MVP. In the National League right now, you have Ohtani minus 330, Matt Olson plus 900, De La Cruz, which I don't get that at all.
Wait a second. Can I ask a question, though?
Yeah.
Like, are not these odds basically just because they know people will bet on Ohtani?
In part, I mean, yes, part of it is the way that money moves, what has been invested already, but part of it is performance-based and public sentiment in the moment. And so, like De La Cruz,
what about Ohtani? What have you seen from Ohtani over his first 40 games or however many the Dodgers have played that make you go, oh yeah, MVP worthy?
Well, I think it really comes down to just, 1, the hype train, and then 2, there's an expectation that offensively he will pick it up. I mean, though his
sure, I expect him to pick it up too, but I mean, his OPS is below 800 right now. He's at 792. This is.
Well, I mean, look, I don't disagree with you, but I'm going to just say this: like, all you have to do is open up Major League Baseball's social account, and like they're going to. We've had this conversation in the past. I mean, they will. Oh, Shohei Ohtani, he showed up at the park today. Wow. insane. Like, it's crazy. Now, that being said, he's having an awesome year on the mound. He has a .97 ERA with a .81 WHIP in 6 starts. I mean,
yeah, six really good starts. But I also mentioned the fact yet again, the Dodgers go with a 6-man rotation.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. He has.
Well, I think that's part of the reason that the Cy Young odds are deflated the way that they are. They're not.
Yeah, I mean, there are things. I just sit there and go, look at the other guys who he's going to be in contention with for this award, and say, all right, you could have the same setup as Ohtani, get an extra day of rest in between every one of your starts. Are your numbers as good as Ohtani's? Are your numbers even better than it? You know what I'm saying? Like.
Right.
You know, or would Ohtani's numbers be worse if he had to pitch on 5 days, every 5 days, like everybody else? Like, that's the one thing I use as a caveat. I'm never trying to take anything away from the guy. The guy is an incredible athlete, an incredible player, and what he's able to do is second to none. But I'm also reluctant to give out the award for best pitcher in the game when you have an advantage and your team has an advantage. AKA they can carry an extra pitcher that nobody else can carry, right? And sit there and go, well, that doesn't impact, say, oh, that doesn't impact this. Well, it does. It absolutely does impact this discussion.
Okay, let me do this. I'm going to give you the top 10 contenders for National League MVP in this moment. And obviously other guys can surge, Sure. Jordan Walker's having a great year. He's not on the top 10, all this stuff, right? But like Ohtani minus 330, Olsen plus 900, De La Cruz plus 2200, Corbin Carroll plus 2500, Kyle Schwarber has the 6th best odds right now plus 2800, Soto and Harper both come in at plus 3000, Acuna plus 3500, and then Marte and James Wood are plus 4000. If I had you pick in this moment, I'll do it 2 ways. One, who would you pick to win? And then based on the odds, who would you take as a good bet?
It's a great question, Bob. I really would have to think about it. I haven't. I don't usually put that kind of thought into these awards this early in the season, just because so much changes from May to June to July to September. By the time you get to September, right? But
I'll tell you what. To me, like Olsen's pretty intriguing. He's on pace to hit 55 home runs right now and knock in 142 runs, walk 9 times, and finish with 186 hits on a Braves team that might win 107 games.
Yeah, like I'm with you on that. Like, what he's doing so far. He leads the league in OPS. He had most total bases of any player. Leads the league in runs scored and leads the league in doubles. Like. Leads the league in RBIs. Like he's at the top of everybody's leaderboard right now in all these categories. And I'd say, I probably lean Matt Olson at this point, and his team is good, right? Like I think that matters. I think you could be an MVP. You need to be, in order to be the most valuable player in the league, you have to have really good numbers, and 99 times out of 100, your team has to be a good team because you're making a difference on that team to be a good team, right? Like, yes, have there been times when there have been guys who've won MVPs on bad teams or teams that, missed the playoffs or whatever? Sure, but that's because their season was so incredible that you got to kind of look past the fact that the team stunk around them.
Yeah.
But I do think, with all things being equal, that your team being a good team and being a good team because of your performance makes you more valuable.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. The Braves team is really impressive. They go out to Los Angeles this weekend. They lose Friday night 3-1, and then they just come back Saturday. They get up big early, win 7-2. The yesterday, same thing, get up big early, win 7-2, control the game. They looked like the better team this weekend. That's that Atlanta team is not only good, but they're much better than I had originally.
They're as good as I thought they were last year.
Yeah, just playing, going the other way. Yeah. One guy that we have to talk about him because he figured it out this weekend is Alec Bohm. All right. Yay, Alec. So Alec gets off Thursday and Friday night, gets the 2 nights off. And he comes back on Saturday night. And I guess the best way to frame this would be like saying that in 34 games between March 28th and May 6th, Alec Bohm had 3 extra base hits in 137 plate appearances. Obviously not very good, playing 20% of your season with 3 extra base hits. They hit the reset button. He comes out, faces Kyle Freeland and the Rockies on Saturday, and he had 3 extra base hits. He hits a pair of home runs, tripling his homer total this season. And he also lifted his OPS this weekend from 433 to 527. He went 4 for 7 with a walk in the final 2 games of the series. He needed that. The Phillies certainly needed that from him. Just a nice little weekend and what will continue to be a dismal run for Alec Bohm? Or do you have any reason to believe that, hey, maybe he's figuring something out here?
Well, I mean, look, you always have to start somewhere, right?
Sure do.
So if you're going to get up off the mat, that's a good starting point. That's a good way to get to your knee, right? Do I think Alec Bohm is back standing in the corner ready to come out punching again? I don't, right? But do I think that he's, all right, I'm not knocked out? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, as we mentioned on Friday, there are 177 qualified hitters in baseball, and he had OPS only better than Cedric Mullins. Now he is ahead of Caleb Durbin, Trevor Story, Ezekiel Tovar, and so he's got the 6th worst OPS at this point at 527. But it's an 80-point jump in 2 games. So you said you got to start somewhere. Maybe he can kind of put it together a little bit and get back to a level of respectability. That would certainly be huge for the Phillies.
Yeah. And if he continues it, Bob.
Yeah, I just look, well established how I feel about him. It's nice to see him do that on Saturday. I'm nowhere near get back to me in 2 weeks. If he goes on a 15-game run of hitting 300 or better and starts, producing some extra base hits, and maybe we can revisit this. But it is nice to see him do something, because I think a lot of this with the sport is just talking yourself into it, just talking yourself into believing. And, if you can work through a reset where you get put down for 2 days and you come back and you have that type of performance, maybe all of a sudden he just starts to feel a little bit more relaxed, feels a little bit better about things, and he can make that carry for a little bit. And that would be great if he does. All right. I have one more thing that I want to touch on, and we'll go full circle to the first thing that we talked about in the show. You look at the probable pitchers for this series. The Red Sox have not listed a starter for tomorrow night's game. But I bring this up to say that the finale on Thursday, you are going to get old friend Ranger Suarez in a 2.77 ERA up against Jesus Luzardo. What an interesting backdrop for that game, not only because the Phillies face Suarez, who's been an important part of this franchise for a long time, but because they're throwing the guy who they essentially gave the money to over Ranger Suarez in that game.
Yeah.
I don't really have a take, but boy, I look at this and I look at the remainder of the schedule in May, and I'll put all this together for you and kind of let you run with it. Do you think in this moment, if you presented Ranger Suarez and Jesus Luzardo even up, you said both of these guys are free agents, you have to hand either one of these guys, I mean, you can only pick one, a 4-year deal for $30 million per over the next 4 years. Everything that you know now, 2 months later, 2 months into the season, basically, would you still do what you did this offseason?
Yes.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah. I think that there's a longer runway for Luzardo than there is for Suarez.
That being said, go out and shove on Thursday.
Oh, I agree.
Please do not, because I'm getting ahead of it, because you know what's going to happen. If he sucks on Thursday and Suarez shuts him down, you know what people are going to be talking
about. People are already saying, look, we got it right here. I mean, SJK says should have taken Suarez, right? Look, I understand why the Phillies did what they did. I would probably do the same. I would probably do the same today that I would then. But you're right. I mean, it could get to a point.
And it can get to a point fast, because you say, who's the more talented guy? Well, it doesn't take an advanced, 30-year scout to know that Jesus Luzardo in this moment has more talent. But when you talk about slow heartbeat and coming up big and nothing rattles the guy, and it's juxtaposed with Jesus Luzardo, who lets a bunt single turn into a 6-run inning. Like, yeah, that's a tough one for fans, I think.
Well, so here's what I would say, Bob. This is the funny thing, right? So let's say fans start. Let's say this does happen. Let's say Thursday, Ranger pitches a gem, Luzardo gets smacked around, and then that starts to be the discourse that everybody says. Can fans have it both ways? Are they allowed to have it both ways? Because this is the same fan base that said, well, you can't run it back. You have to do something different. Well, wouldn't keeping Ranger Suarez have been part of running it back? Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like at some point there needs to be a changing of the guard, and fans are right, I think, in that regard. But this in my mind was the right switch, because again, Luzardo's younger, he throws harder, he's got more stuff. There are things that I really like about Ranger Suarez that the Phillies miss. Sure. But it's no different than when, like, they let Zach Eflin go, right? Like, there were things I liked about Zach Eflin, right? I thought the Phillies missed, and they picked the wrong pitcher to replace him when they picked Taijuan Walker, right? They picked the wrong guy, there, no doubt. But they were smart to let Eflin go, because you saw how Eflin broke down.
Yeah.
After that, right? But it's same thing. And I look at this and say, yeah, there are so many elements to it. But I think if you listed all the check boxes, right, and said this, and this, and these are the things that we need, these are the things that we rely on to succeed, which one checks more boxes in 2026? Jesus Luzardo, even today, still checks more boxes than Ranger Suarez.
All right, I want to do a quick look ahead thing here. Phillies are 19-22, 3 games under 500. They're closing in on that 500 mark. I want to ask whether or not you believe the Phillies will be 500 by the end of May.
Yes.
And we will. All right, before we go through it, yes.
Yeah, I even said, Bob, I think I said a couple episodes ago, I said that they would be 500 before they got to San Diego.
Okay.
Before they got during what I considered the easier stretch of their doing air quotes, easier stretch of their schedule.
Okay. At Boston for 3 games. Let's work through it. Let's workshop it.
Yeah, Boston.
What happens in Boston? 17-23 Red Sox fired their manager. This team stinks, but
I'd say that I'll take the Phillies 2 out of 3 against Boston.
I'm writing this down. Phillies 2 of 3 against Boston. Pittsburgh.
So
playing well.
They are playing well, although they're starting to fade a little bit.
They face? Will they face Skeens in that?
When did he last pick?
Let's see. Pirates probable pitchers. Just pull that up real quick. So the Pirates will not. Yes. So Skeens throws Tuesday night, which means you would see him on Sunday, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. So you will see Skeens in that series.
Yeah. So they'll lose 2 out of 3.
All right, I agree with you. This week to me reeks of a 3-3 spin your wheels week.
Yes.
All right, you come home and you get the Reds for 3.
They've been terrible lately, although they did win their last 2. But they lose 8 in a row right before that?
Yeah.
They win 2 out of 3 against the Reds.
All right, so we're up to 5-4 here. And then you're 3 at home against the Guardians. Reese Hoskins and the Guardians.
Yeah, probably win 2 out of 3 against them as well.
All right, that brings us to 7-5 in that 12-game stretch. So that still puts you a game short. That makes them 20. Yeah. What does that bring them to? 26-27 at the end of that 12-game stretch, which is effectively 500, if not.
Right. Yeah. That was the idea. Like, I mean, at least get to. I mean, I thought 27-26 was probably where they would be going into the Padres, but all right.
I think I'm with you there. 7-5 feels right. Maybe 6-6. Then unfortunately, I mean, this is kind of a tough year. Like, we're right there, and now you got to go out and play the Padres for 3, and then that's followed by the Dodgers for 3. That's a tough 6 games there. How do you see that going?
Yeah, well, a lot will depend on where they're at that point. I mean, I want to see. I want to see how Luzardo pitches going into the next couple of starts. You know, does Andrew Painter figure his stuff out? You know, are we getting a more consistent Aaron Nola? Because we did not get the same Aaron Nola on Saturday that we got against the Marlins. Like a lot will be determined by that. And then, additionally, does Brandon Marsh stay hot? But again, long term, as I'm looking ahead, they're probably going to lose 4 or 6 in San Diego and LA.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, which puts them at 500 for that entire stretch. I kind of think that that's where they're at. Like where they're at today is where I expect them to be at the end of the month, which is 3 games under 500. They would get to the end of the month at, I believe, 28-31 if they were to do that. So I think that this will be, I think what we're seeing is sort of where I was at the beginning of the show, which is like, okay, they've gotten off the mat. They're back in it, but I just don't think it's going to be this like, straight line where they go past 500 and now all of a sudden they're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games over by the middle of June. I think this is going to be like this for a while. Kind of think that this team will probably be hovering around 500 even near the end of June. And then it's going to come down to, you get into the summer, here we go now. Like, can you make your move? And I think that that's what this is going to be.
Yeah, it's fair. I think you're probably right. I think you're probably right.
All right. What do you got for me before we get out of here?
One last thing, Bob. One last thing. You remember 2024, and the Mets made their amazing run. They got off the mat in June after, the split with the Phillies in London. Had a great second half, beat the Phillies in the playoffs, make it all the way to the National League Championship Series before
the oh my God Mets. Yeah.
Well, what else was a big deal for the Mets besides OMG?
That would be Grimace.
Grimace. Remember that whole thing, right? The Grimace nonsense?
I do. Very well.
We killed it. Like, we ripped it. It was so stupid. It was the dumbest stuff, but it was so New York, right? Like, of course, New York would embrace this character. We might have a similar thing in Philadelphia.
Is it Elmo season? Is that what you're telling me?
Dude, like, I cannot believe how people just reacted to that. Like, it went so viral. And then we have people, I think there was a comment from earlier, if I scroll up and find it, and I think it was Chris who gave it to us. I will find it. Yeah, here we go. We need Elmo to be a regular contributor to the Phillies broadcast, not every game, but a once every homestand occurrence. Like, this thing could go, if the Phillies like go on a little bit of a run here, if Alec Bohm rebounds, right? Because that was the game he had the 2.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you have to at least consider the possibility if Alec Bohm is going to collect 3 extra base hits in a game, like that usually does take like an extra. It takes an outside force,
yes,
to allow that to happen,
right? And so like, are we in danger? Are we reaching a point where if this team stays on like a good trajectory here and starts winning a bit, that all of a sudden we start seeing fans showing up at games wearing Elmo costumes in Philly shirts?
I hope not.
I mean, Amy, Elmo warms the heart.
Yeah,
Elmo,
I mean, I like, I grew up an Elmo guy. I like Elmo, but like, come on, are we gonna do this? Are we gonna be this team? Isn't this team a little too miserable to like have Elmo be its mascot?
I'm worried about this. I'm literally worried about this.
Bryce Harper. You think Bryce Harper is gonna like buy into Elmo? This like reminds me. This might have the legs of the what was it? The Brad Miller, the bamboo plant.
Yeah. Bamboo Brad. Like, I can see Harper getting his special Elmo cleats.
Oh, God.
Right? If this thing takes off. I mean, you remember when all the fans started wearing the overalls, right? When Stubbs brought in the overalls a couple years ago, like, and then everybody bought them. Like, and we knew it was going to be a thing, right? I just have this feeling that if this team stays hot and they kind of get going here, that you might start seeing Elmos popping up in that
Picture
crowd.
This. It's the bottom of the 7th, game 1 or game 3 of the NLDS. The Phillies will have been on the road to start the series. Bryce Harper comes to the plate to the Sesame Street theme song in his Elmo cleats.
There we go.
Hits one off the facing of the second deck, and the crowd goes wild.
Amy asked, and I don't remember this, did Stott wear Elmo cleats one time?
I don't
Do you
know.
remember that?
I don't remember that, but that's very possible.
SJK says I'm showing up as Snuffleupagus in protest because Elmo killed off Snuffleupagus.
I don't see it. I think that we're all too miserable and that this team is too old and cranky and miserable to let this become a thing. That's my thought.
I hope so. I hope Chris. This is the best line though. Chris goes, "If Elmo gets too big, the Fanatic will go all
That's
Tanya
the
Harding on it."
Chris is right.
That's cool. That's cool. Amy says she thinks you wore them for Father's Day.
Okay.
You wore them for those cleats for Father's Day. So
Believe that.
there you go. But anyway, I'm a little worried that Elmo is going to become a thing in Philly with baseball this year. Hope not. I hope Bob's right. I hope it's not the case. Anyway, that'll do it for us for Phightin Words on this episode. Thank you for tuning in. You can always subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, wherever you get your podcasts. Best place right here on YouTube. Click that thumbs up, ring the bell. You will never miss a show. You'll always know when Bob and I go live. If you're listening in the podcast feed, it's youtube.com/@Phightin Words. For Bob Blanco, I'm Anthony Sanfilippo saying thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you after the Phillies get through their series in Fenway, and we'll look ahead at the Pirates series for next weekend. Have a great week, everybody, and we will see you on Friday.